Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there on this beautiful Monday morning. I know Monday is certainly not everyone's favorite day of the week, but let's make the most out of it and have a fantastic day regardless. I got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Monday, and we'll also give you an update on the tropics. I want to let you guys know right off the dot. If you hear any kids in the background, watching a neighbor's kids this morning, taking them to school, and then you got them mixed with my kids, and you're pretty much there's pretty much a 100% chance you're going to hear a kid scream in the background. So happens sometimes, especially if you're a regular and tuning in my video. Most of the time people say they don't hear any kids, but there is a chance that you might. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments so I can pray over it, and I promise you other people are praying over it also. So let's get rolling here. We got Nigel, which is now Hurricane Nigel. We expected this right out here in the middle of the North Atlantic. Let's get this clicker going right here. And it is working. We got a wave that will fully emerge off the west coast of Africa right over here. All right, we have a cold front, which will be a weather topic that we will talk about a whole lot. Not really because of all this nice dry air surging down that you see kind of in the duller colors right here, but because this boundary where the cold front is that separates moist air and dry air will eventually keep digging southeast and most likely will stall out somewhere into here. And wherever it stalls out, there is going to be a chance of some kind of low pressure that could potentially develop off the coast of the southeast here in the coming days. We got to watch this. There is an area of interest up for it now, along with a 70% chance area of interest here in the next 7 days for something to develop over here. So we'll talk about all these features, the latest information that we got as far as model guidance, and we'll break it down for you folks along with the weather for today. Won't talk much on Nigel, but Nigel is spinning around out here. Will most likely become a major hurricane, but not bother anybody but the fish, and will eventually will turn all the way completely northeast and then race out into the North Atlantic and the cold waters of the North Atlantic. So that's what's going on right now. But I mean, what's really cool on this is you can really see the cold front here on the water vapor loop, which indicates more moist or more dry air over the southeastern U.S. It's pretty nice. I woke up this morning, did my workout, my morning routine, and it felt wonderful out there with the humidity levels dropping here in my state here in South Carolina. But that's what's going on right now in the tropics and in the U.S. Let's get this off your screen and give you a full update on the tropics here. We have this, which has a 70% chance to develop in the next 7 days. You got Hurricane Nigel, which is right now an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane, and you got this area of interest. You got a 30% chance of a non-tropical area of low pressure developing off the coast of the southeast, and this most likely will happen, I would say, late work week into this weekend, maybe Friday into Sunday, sometime in that period. Now, will this impact the weather for the southeast? I think it has a decent chance to do so. So if you got any outdoor activities in the southeast, you would definitely want to stay tuned to the forecast. It's going to change a lot because we're still trying to figure this one out, but the National Hurricane Center is talking about this now. There is a chance that this could gain some kind of subtropical characteristics, but I'll talk about all that and what the subtropical or non-tropical means. But basically, in a nutshell, this is going to have a lot of cold, dry characteristics wrapped into this low pressure. So it's most likely going to be more so non-tropical than tropical. A lot of dry air is going to get wrapped into the circulation. But we'll talk more on that here in a second. But this is what's going on. We now got Margot and Lee completely off the screen, so don't even have to mention them anymore. Good riddance to them too, and we're certainly glad they're on out of here. So an update on Nigel. We won't stay on him very long, but is forecast to become a Category 2 hurricane sometime this afternoon, and then eventually a Category 3 major hurricane sometime tonight. So Nigel is strengthening right now, gradually, may undergo some rapid intensification, most likely not, just gradual intensification, but will become a major hurricane as it begins to make that full turn northeast, well, then northeast, then begin to weaken back into a category 2 and then eventually a category 1. And the cone goes all the way up into here. Need to watch out for our folks in Ireland. We don't ever talk about the weather in Europe, but this may still be packing somewhat of a punch by the time we get into this weekend. We certainly need to watch Ireland, the United Kingdom for you folks too. I don't know if this is going to make an abrupt turn north or it's going to head right into you folks, but sometimes this does happen. So we'll keep rolling. Let's talk about this cold front that eventually will become stalled and just kind of chill out over Florida, not Texas. Somebody busted me in last night's video saying, man, you said Texas again for Florida. I have no idea why that happens. I don't, but I can tell you there's a 100% chance it'll happen again. Trust me, I know my geography. I know the difference between Florida and Texas, but for whatever reason, I don't know. When I talk just in general, it's like my mouth just does different words than what my mind is saying for it to do. So Florida and Texas is a great example of that. But Florida, this front will stall out over you folks. And we're going to have energy that most likely will pop up off the coast of the southeast and have a potential to develop. So let's see. We'll start off for tomorrow morning. This is starting off Tuesday morning, and we'll get this rolling. The latest GFS is rolling right now. And as we're going, we're getting into Wednesday morning, and then we're getting into Thursday morning. You see this big area of basically moisture off the coast of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, basically the southeast. That is energy starting to get its act together. Okay, as we move further in time, as we're getting into our Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, Thursday night, we're getting to Friday morning at this point. This Friday morning, we got an all-out low pressure, subtropical low pressure, non-tropical low pressure. In general, you just basically got a storm system off the coast of the southeast. I really think it's going to be a pretty rainy week for areas in South Florida. So definitely with a stalled boundary, these cold fronts just do not clear the state of Florida this time of the year. So you guys typically don't get that nice crisp fall air until, we are pretty much at Christmas time sometimes, but not always, but a lot of the times. But check it out. Off the coast of the southeast, you got just a pretty stout looking low pressure. This continues to kind of spin away, very broad spin out there. And as we're getting into Friday evening, just basically slingshots a big area of moisture into eastern North Carolina, areas of South Carolina, and this could be the beginning of a pretty soggy weekend for the Carolinas. We start to make our way into Saturday morning, and look at this. This isn't just the Carolinas. This basically slings a ton of moisture up into eastern Virginia, all right, the Delmarva region, Washington, D.C., this is a lot of rain falling, and it showed this in last night's model runs too. So if this continues to show up, then it's something we got to watch. It basically slings moisture all the way up into this region, but the actual kind of low-level circulation, I guess you can call it, or the center of this low pressure is right off the coastline of Charleston and Myrtle Beach, and this actually makes a technical landfall into Wilmington sometime Saturday off the GFS and basically surges north, and this is actually as far out as the GFS goes. But we got to watch this area of the Mid-Atlantic up here for a big rain event this weekend. So if you got any outdoor activities in the Mid-Atlantic or even the Southeast, you want to stay tuned to the forecast for sure. Latest European, what does it show? Kind of the same thing. You get into Thursday morning, big area of rain off the coast of the Southeast, get into a Friday morning, there's a little bit of a low popping up. That low could be up here, could be over here. It could be a lot of areas. We got to figure that out. We got a couple days to really figure that out. But in general, you got a lot of moisture just chilling off the coast of the Southeast. And you keep this going, you're getting into Saturday morning. There it is. You're starting to see a big area of moisture getting slung into areas of Northeast North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, and even portions of Southern Maryland and Delaware. But the actual low pressure is way down here. And the reason why there's a lot of moisture basically offset from the actual area of low pressure is because there's still a lot of dry air back here that I'll show you here in a second. This dry air is getting wrapped into this basically spin that the low pressure is. So this is basically choking out a lot of moisture associated with the actual low pressure. And I'll actually show you a great example of what I'm talking about here in a second. But we're getting into Saturday afternoon. It's a definitely a soaker showing up for the mid-Atlantic, and then the actual low pressure finally comes up and makes landfall somewhere in the eastern Carolinas. But it's almost looking like most of the moisture associated with this low pressure will be away from the low pressure, like to the north. But we got to see if that continues to be a trend here. Icon, I'll show you this really quick. And Icon shows pretty much a full-fledged storm system, low pressure off the coast of the southeast. And there it goes, slinging a ton of moisture Friday evening into eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia, all the way up into the Delmarva region. It only goes 120 hours out, which takes us out to about 2 a.m. Saturday morning. But I mean, this would pretty much be a non-event for South Carolina for the most part if the latest models are correct, but shows a soaker for eastern North Carolina and then all the way up to Virginia for the mid-Atlantic. This is certainly something we need to watch for anybody who has outdoor activities. Do I think this is going to be a full-fledged strong tropical storm or hurricane? No, I don't. But we've seen some crazy things happen with this. So this is starting out this afternoon. The brown is dry air. The green colors is moist air. Okay, so we know with this cold front that's moving in, it's bringing in a lot of dry air, even as far south as North Florida, not North Texas, North Florida. This is really starting to move into the region, and this is a great way to show the separation between moist and dry air with that boundary. So we'll move here in time, getting into Tuesday morning, getting into Wednesday morning. Okay, and there's a little bit of a boundary between somewhat dry air. It's definitely more dry than moist, and moist air down here and southern sections of Florida. Okay, you got moisture right over here, right off the coast of the southeast, and then watch what happens. Let's make sure we're on the Euro. Watch what basically happens off the Euro. You get a big plume of moisture that looks like it's going to head on out to sea, but it doesn't. If you look right here, you see the wind barbs basically circling around in this region. It's probably very hard to see, but it's right here, almost right over northern areas of Florida and Jacksonville. But that actual area of low pressure is right in here. And if you notice, there's a lot of dry air. Look, I mean, it's not deep dry air, but it's dry air right near that low pressure. Okay, this would indicate this does not have true tropical characteristics. And basically all the moisture that's associated with this low pressure and this big moisture plume is basically well away from the area of low pressure. And here it is. You can see it well right here as we're getting into Friday evening. Low pressure right here, right off the east coast of Florida. Okay, a lot of dry air getting wrapped up in. You can see it very well here. See all this dry air getting pulled down into here, right into the circulation of this low pressure. It's pretty wild to see here, but all the moisture is right into here. And all this moisture is basically going to get slung this way. So it's pretty interesting to see how this is going to work out, but I don't think this is going to be a true tropical system. Certainly going to be subtropical or just a non-tropical low for the most part. But we've seen some crazy things happen over the Gulf Stream, which sits off right off the coast of the southeast and rides further north up the eastern seaboard. So, I mean, it's really wild. You can see it very well, and then eventually just the dry air takes back over and pretty much fully helps to dissipate this low pressure. But rainfall between now and Thursday morning, not much, right? Except over southern portions of Florida. But you keep moving here in time, and look how it increases. This is the blend of all models, so this will change. Look how it increases for the eastern areas of Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and certainly increases for the mid-Atlantic. This takes us all the way through about next Wednesday morning, and I think that this could potentially increase for you folks right into here. So this is something to watch. This could definitely impact your weather this weekend. So if you got any outdoor activities from basically Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, into the Delmarva region, I mean, maybe even as far north as like Long Island, New York City, I would definitely watch this because it definitely can throw a bone into it for sure. We definitely do have this area of interest out here. Has a 70% chance to develop, but I can tell you we've had a drop off in model guidance. It's been weird. The GFS last night in the 18Z run kind of sniffed it out. And if we look at the latest run, what are we on? We're on the European. Look at the latest European. It does develop this. We're getting into Friday morning. There's that wave right here. We're getting into Saturday morning. Does develop this into a tropical depression, weak tropical storm. Our next name is Ophelia. Okay, next name after that is Philippe. So the O and P name does develop this into a named storm. Okay, we get this into early next week, about 8 days from now, and we'll stop it about right here. Has a very slowly strengthening storm system, but it's not really getting its act together. In fact, it weakens. This is 10 days out from right now. It definitely has dropped off as far as strength. So models may be sniffing out something. We need to dig deeper into this here in the coming days and see really what's affecting the system. Is probably models are probably sniffing out a more weaker upper level pattern that supports strengthening, which we talk about that a lot. What kind of shear is basically affecting this storm? So that could be something that's really hurting the storm. Maybe some dry air and initiation, because there is some dry air off the coast of West Africa right now. So GFS, let's see what the latest GFS is showing. Only goes 162 hours out, but we will look at the latest model. And I mean, we get all the way into Sunday morning. This is still not an organized system. And I mean, we take it all the way out to Sunday evening. And this is kind of right in the middle of the main development region we call the tropical Atlantic out here. And this is just a weak tropical wave. So, you know, you look at this and you compare it to a few runs back. And, I mean, you take it to 12Z GFS yesterday, and this had a full-fledged Category 2 hurricane right out here in the middle of the Atlantic. It's definitely changed. What about the icon? This only goes out 120 hours out, which takes us to about the middle of the night, Friday night, this coming Friday night. And it does have a decent tropical wave out here, maybe tropical depression. But certainly nothing substantial by the time we get to the weekend. Okay. What about ensemble guidance? Well, I mean, there's still a decent signal on the European ensemble. I wouldn't say it's as good as yesterday's, but it's definitely there. Definitely a solid signal still of something getting going with this wave. But I can tell you, as of now, from the overnight to morning model guidance, things have dropped off a little bit. But this is why we continue to check it. There's a chance that things could explode with this wave sometime today. All right, so let's talk about the weather for our neck of the woods here in the lower 48. Look at this deep digging, beautiful trough, bringing all this dry air down. Okay, this is nice. I love it. This is going to introduce a beautiful week for basically most of the eastern and southeastern U.S. The duller colors on your screen indicate dry air. The whiter colors into this region right here is more moist air, and you guys are certainly dealing with a lot of moist air up here in New England where it's raining. Just seems like it's been raining all the time up there, and it's going to rain all day today, most likely, until the dry air can punch through your area and clear you guys out. Everybody else, it's pretty quiet. We could have a little impulse of energy that flies through this portion of the southern high plains today. Could bring some strong to severe storms, but not a big threat at all. We get this back off your screen and keep going. We look at what's falling out there right now, and we are dealing with a lot of rain, basically right up the I-95 corridor from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast. It's raining in Washington, D.C. It looks like the rain's clearing out in Washington, D.C. Raining in Delaware, the coastal regions of Maryland, raining in all of New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, southern New England, most of New England, and this rain will fully take over Maine again today. This will bring rain all the way up for our folks in Canada, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, probably later into the later evening hours, but definitely a soaker up here. But the good news is dry air will filter in behind this. Storm Prediction Center, not much to speak on. There is a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe storms here in the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, but not a big day for severe storms whatsoever. So I'm very happy and proud that the kids in the house are being quiet, but now I say that they'll probably screech here anytime soon, but they've been very quiet, almost weirdly quiet. I might need to check here in a second. But excessive rainfall outlook, there is a slight risk, at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met, and basically the down east and southern areas of Maine and a very small section of New Hampshire. You guys are waterlogged up here. Y'all don't need any more rain. So hopefully this is the last day of substantial rain for some time. But watches and warnings, you guys do have flood watches up here for all the state of Rhode Island, eastern Mass, most of the state except like 3 counties in New Hampshire, and all of central, southern, and down east areas of Maine. Some fog is definitely hitting your areas in eastern Kentucky, probably areas of West Virginia and eastern Tennessee too. just not enough to prompt them dense fog advisories. But the southeast today, I mean, most of the southeast will have beautiful early fall-like weather. The only area is central to southern Florida, where basically this cold front will stall out, and anybody along that boundary and south will be dealing with these tropical rains. So basically from Orlando point south, if you're in any of those areas, you're going to have a chance of some showers and storms. Everybody else, quiet. Maybe some showers might drift through central West Virginia, but everybody else a beautiful day, and it's because of this dry air. These are dew points, not temperatures. This dry air is basically taken over the entire southeast, mid-south, mid-Atlantic, and basically these dew points in the, all right, what's going on here? Basically these dew points in the 60s and 70s will be replaced by dew points in the 60s and 50s. So by the time we get into this afternoon, look at this beautiful dry air. The HRRR model can over or under dew points, so I don't think you're going to have dew points in the low 40s in Mississippi, but very nice dry air that will set up for cooler days and cooler nights over the next few days for this entire region. But dry air will make it all the way down to North Florida. It's very nice this time of the year, okay? So just due to the fact that you got dry air in place, you have stable conditions, and you're not really going to have any rain chances. So I know we got a lot of rain here in South Carolina yesterday. I got over 2 inches of rain at my house in a pretty short amount of time. Pretty wild. But you folks up in southern New England are getting a lot of rain, all of New England. This will continue to move throughout the day. We're getting into about early afternoon. It's still raining like cats and dogs for Long Island, New York City also probably, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, the southern half of Maine. And really this is getting enhanced off basically a low pressure trying to develop off this frontal boundary. So that's why, it just pretty much rains. Basically, you get pretty much a stout flow from south to north into this region, and just a nasty rain for you folks. I would argue you're going to get more rain over the next 24 hours from this than you did from Lee. In fact, I know most of you will. In fact, so, we're getting into tonight. It's still raining for the entire state of Maine. Finally, this pulls off for you folks in southern New England. But, by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning, this low pressure begins to kind of make its way over portions of Maine. And this thing just kind of spins around and continues to dump rain for you folks tomorrow, especially in northern Maine. So, unfortunately, a soggy next 24 to 36 hours for you folks. Rain between now and the next 24 hours. Some of this has already failed, but you can get another 1 to 2 inches of rain for the eastern areas of Mass. For certainly 1 to 3 inches of rain up here in New Hampshire, an inch or so of rain up here in Vermont, and another 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in New York City, Long Island, maybe 1.5 inches of rain. So it's going to rain all day up here in Maine. Certainly a soaker. All right, this takes us all the way through about, well, this takes us a little bit too far. I don't know what's going on with this. You need to get your act together, computer. But this takes us all the way through Tuesday morning. A lot of rain could fall, especially in southern areas of Maine, even the down east regions of Maine. Anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain, less for the northern sections of the states, but certainly a soaker over the next 24 to 36 hours. South Central U.S., complex setup here. Most of the area that you see in white isn't going to get a drop of rain. But I want to watch this region right into here. This area could get some severe storms, but also there's a solid chance that you might not get a drop of rain. So there will be, conditions will be favorable for some strong storms. It's just, does anything develop into this region? Latest long-range HRRR model says no, but you could wake up to some showers in central areas of Oklahoma, maybe around the Tulsa area tomorrow. So, might wake up to some drizzle, some rain showers, nothing that's a big deal at all. But HRRR model could have it completely wrong. You could have some big-time storms in that area I circled today. Models are definitely struggling with that. North Central U.S., some showers could work their way downstream from, down lake, I more so should say, of Lake Michigan, maybe Lake Superior too. Could get some raindrops out there in Michigan. But outside of that, some rain showers could form in southeast areas of Wisconsin. And then a more organized area of rain could develop in eastern Iowa, make its way into northern and northwest sections of Illinois as we're waking up tomorrow morning. So we could have a soggy start in this region of the country tomorrow morning. but nothing substantial whatsoever. Western U.S. continues to be pretty quiet. But we could have an area of showers that gets going here in northeast Nevada, maybe extreme southern sections of Idaho, pretty much anywhere in Utah, western areas of Colorado, western areas of New Mexico, and a very small section of northeast Arizona. Could get some rain showers today. Some higher elevation snow could fall from this in the Rockies and Colorado. But outside of that, nothing too crazy. Starting to see more and more blue on our screen up here in Canada and even in the Rockies as we're getting much deeper into September at this point. Temperatures, you can see where this trough is, right? It's very warm, getting very warm again in the plains and the high plains, getting well into the upper 80s, low 90s. Texas certainly feeling some late summer, early fall heat out here, but nothing compared to what you saw this summer. 80s and low 90s being felt also in Louisiana. Southern sections of Mississippi. Mississippi will be a wild state today, where southern sections of the states will get into the low 90s, but northern sections of the state, maybe just the 70s. Definitely a stout boundary setting up in this region. But man, if you're in the Ohio River Valley, just the Great Lakes region, the Northeast, I mean, even the Carolinas, even areas of Georgia, beautiful day expected. Northern Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, an early fall-like day with low humidity expected. Out west, definitely warm in the high plains. And cooling off for the Pacific Northwest, and much cooler than average, I would say. Not much, but definitely cooler than average for the Northwest and areas of the Cascades and the valley regions of California, and definitely cooler than average in the Southwest, where most areas are struggling to get into the low 100s unless you're like right in the middle of the desert. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. I will mention this week is probably going to be a week where I take some breaks in the evenings. This evening might be an evening. One thing I'll mention is last week was an amazing week for growth. I mean, amazing, but it was a grind. It took a lot out of me. I'll be completely honest with you guys. And I got behind on some things, and luckily I caught up on all of it this weekend. Thank the good Lord on that, because I tend to get a little stressed out when some of the little things begin to add up, certainly some of the big things. And I make a list of things that I need to do, and once I start checking things off, I feel so much better. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. But so just going to take some breathers this weekend unless something substantial begins to show up. So if you don't catch me in the evening videos, well, just resting up, and because I have a feeling that this winter is going to be very active. So definitely need to take advantage of some of those breaks for sure. But I know you guys understand. God bless all y'all. Have a great Monday, and I'll talk to you soon.